Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the nation, right here, Jeff Waldorf with you on this Monday evening. I got a fantastic show for you guys today. We've got a lot of stories here. We're going to talk about Ryan Zinke, his replacement. That's important policy-wise. We also are going to make fun of Stephen Miller and his hair. You're going to love that because, okay, yeah, too obvious, but let's do that. That's fun. We also have Trump versus Saturday Night Live versus law versus reality versus whatever. That's fun. Then we'll update you on what's happening in Wisconsin or what had happened in Wisconsin over the weekend. Then I'm going to rage out on Democrats. Oh, you guys can't wait to see that. That's going to be some anger there. Then finally, a woman donated a kidney to her boss. You're not going to believe how she gets repaid. That is an unbelievable story. So I can't wait to present that. Man, so I'm not going to give anything away, but I do not think you're going to see where this one's going. But anyway, that's the show today. We're going to have a lot of fun. We got a lot of important stories. We'll get to it. First, please give us a like and a share if you haven't already. That helps out the show tremendously. Also, consider using the super chat. That helps, and I'll read them during, I should say, when I come back after the breaks. Please subscribe. We are 3,000-ish away from hitting 100,000 subscribers, so please help us get to that threshold. You guys watching on Facebook, please like and share as well. Helps out. Yeah. All right. Those are your announcements. Thank you guys for doing that. Let's get to the stories. Let's start out with a little bit of fun. You know, I could have gone with a lot of those. I mean, Bad Hair Day is one of them, but Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. I think it works. All right. So controversial Trump advisor Stephen Miller is being mocked on social media over an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation. Now, there he talked about, of course, how Donald Trump, he'd love to shut down the government over funding for his useless and ridiculous border wall. Okay, so now that in itself is a ridiculous argument. Like, oh no, I'm going to shut down the government so I can get a wall that, for one, Trump promised Mexico was going to pay for. Now that Mexico's not going to pay for it, it's going to be us that pays for it. It's going to be the taxpayer, and they want $5 billion. And if they don't get it, I'm going to shut down the government. Lovely, right? Now, that in itself is ridiculous, right? But social media users and the internet actually noticed something else ridiculous. And that would be Stephen Miller's newfound hair. Let me show you a picture here. It's a comparison between old hair versus new hair. Notice the difference. It's like he took the hair off of his chin, off his face, and transplanted it to his head. Like, that's exactly what it looks like. Oh my God. I think we figured out where it came from. If it did not come from a can. So, hey, Steven. What's with the hair, man? As one bald guy to another. Why? What are you doing? Look, then again, to be fair, he does work for a fake president, spreads fake news, so I guess fake hair, adding to that, isn't that much of a stretch. So, that's my reaction. Let's go to some others. Now, Twitter user by the handle of Skolanak, interesting, says Stephen Miller proves the cover-up is worse than the crime. I love that. Naveed Jamali said, quote, I did not see that coming. He's not just the chief architect of the Muslim ban and every despicable race-baiting act. He's also a client. I love that. And the website, the Mary Sue, wrote a headline, and you'll love this. Senior Trump advisor and Gollum impersonator Stephen Miller appeared on CBS News program Face the Nation to discuss immigration and border security. Look, I appreciate a Lord of the Rings joke as much as anybody else. But to be fair, you're also doing Gollum a disservice. I think he'd likely be much nicer to the immigrants than Stephen Miller. Just say, dude, the hair, what are you doing? What are you doing, Stephen? Look, I feel like, here's the thing. Like, I can throw stones because I feel like I am the best person equipped to criticize Stephen Miller's lack of hair. Because guess what? Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm also bald. Okay? And look, here's the thing. I started balding in my mid-20s. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is not acceptable. I got married, you know, and my wife's like, dude, you got to get rid of that. Seriously, what are you doing? I'm like, God damn it, I know, but you can't cover it up. You just can't cover it up. Okay, you can't hide this shit. Comb overs, like the worse comb over it is, the more people notice. They're like, dude, you're not hiding that. I know what's going on in your head or on your head. I know, you can't hide it. Comb overs and whatever chemical hair in a can he sprayed on himself, you can't hide it. So for the love of God, just stop. Save yourself some goddamn dignity, Stephen Miller. Now, what's even sadder than this is, what would you bet that this is because Donald Trump said something to him? Look, we all know that Trump basically makes a lot of his decisions based on what people look like. So, look, for example, he first refused to hire John Bolton. Due to what? He didn't like his mustache. Oh, man, hey, I don't like your mustache. So I'm not going to hire you. I'm not going to consider you for this position. Now, for me, it was like, well, it's John Bolton. Thank God. I'm not interested in John Bolton. He is a warmonger, of course, later on. Since there was nobody else that was ever willing to take that position, finally it's like, all right, John Bolton, come on. You know, I still don't like your mustache. Maybe you need to police that thing. But the whole point is that what if Donald Trump basically said, hey, Stephen, I like people that have hair on their heads, not in their chins. You might want to do something about that. I know some great stuff. Tremendous stuff. Trump brand. Try it out. What do you want to bet that that's what happened? Oh, and if it did, it'd be so fucking sad. Or what's even sadder is if he did it without Trump saying something to try to make Trump happy. Oh, I wonder if Donald Trump will actually make me get me a higher position. Let me go out on TV a lot more. Oh, how fucking sad. How sad is that? I'm going to do what it looks like spray-on hair to impress Trump. Well, you know what? Nobody's buying it. And at the end of the day, it looks fucking terrible. Steven, I have some advice for you. Why don't you stop hiding what you are? Shave your head. I do, right? It's much better. You don't have to pay for haircuts. You don't have to spray whatever ridiculous chemical crap that is on your head and have it seep into your brain. Nice, right? But, of course, Steven, you should add a little, you know, more, I guess, individuality to it and really reflect who you are. Maybe by getting some Nazi tattoos. And don't worry, if you're embarrassed about being bald, if you don't like being bald, well, you can always wear a hood. I hear they're in season at the White House. White ones, of course. Just trying to help a brother out. Okay. More fun continues. Let's go to Trump versus Saturday Night Live. Okay. So President Trump is enraged that NBC and Saturday Night Live had the audacity to make fun of him. Oh, man. You know, I've got bad news for you, Donald. They've been making fun of you for a very long time. Now, SNL, of course, wrapped up this year with a parody of a Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. Now, in their version, which is awesome, it showed a world where Donald Trump, played by Alec Baldwin, was never elected president of the United States. Now, look, one could only imagine how much better that would be. And by the way, one of the ways to have made it happen was maybe if the DNC and Democrats had actually nominated Bernie Sanders, the only guy that was basically in head-to-head matchups and polling was beating Trump by double digits. Maybe had they done that, we wouldn't have actually had that world where he wasn't President Trump. But of course, Saturday Night Live, they kind of went the opposite way. The sketch featured returning guest stars Ben Stiller as Michael Cohen, Robert De Niro as Robert Mueller, and Matt Damon as Brett Kavanaugh, showed Trump being led through a Christmas party in a world where Hillary Clinton had become president. Now, as each person from his administration approaches, Trump learns that him not being president worked out for pretty much everyone else. For example, in it, he and Melania are suggested to have gotten a divorce and remarried others. Kavanaugh never made it on the Supreme Court. Yay. And Mueller was able to spend more time with his kids instead of having to, quote, investigate some idiot for treason. So that's fun. Now, you know who wasn't having fun? President Donald Trump. Now, earlier today, he tweeted, "A real scandal is the one-sided coverage, hour by hour, of networks like NBC and Democrat spin machines like Saturday Night Live. It is all nothing less than unfair news coverage and Dem commercials. Should be tested in courts. Can't be legal. Only defame and belittle. Collusion? Collusion? Like, really? Okay. Hey, you know, does he even understand what comedy and satire is? I mean, it's one-sided coverage. It's so unfair. Really? SNL is not a news show, you idiot. Yes, then again, neither is Fox News, to be fair, and at least they have news in the title. But no, that's the real scandal. As, what, earlier today, associates of Manafort got in trouble for lobbying on behalf of Turkey, a foreign agent, right? Now, Manafort, let's not forget, was involved in a plot to kidnap someone and bring him back to Turkey. Kidnapping, right? Nothing on that yet. Not only that, but you had Michael Cohen basically admitting that Trump had told him to pay off Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, AMI, saying the same thing. So he's implicated as a co-conspirator. He is individual one. And this guy is talking about real scandals and collusion. But okay, more substance here, right? So he wants this tested in court for defamation. I'm going to sue you. You say bad things about me. I'm going to sue you. It's not fair. All right, let's do it. Okay. So let me give you an explanation on how this would work, and let's see if it ends up in the president's favor, right? Now, a defamation case filed by Trump, according to Law and Crime, would require him to prove that NBC made a statement of purported fact, as opposed to an opinion. Now, there's a difference between a fact and an opinion. Now, that is not something that apparently a lot of conservatives understand, especially Donald Trump. Now, they would have to prove that that statement was untrue. So, okay, first of all, you tell a lie and you present it as a fact, and then you knew that the statement was untrue. And also that the falsity had caused Trump to suffer a quantifiable harm. So you understand it's a bit of a high bar, right? Now, since Trump is a public figure, you would also have to prove that there was actual malice behind that untrue statement, that NBC delivered its lies knowing that they were false with reckless disregard for the truth. Reckless disregard for the truth. Oh man, that describes so many things about this administration, and not the people who are actually critical of this administration. Now, as Law and Crime notes, how would this do? They said that a test in court would fail on literally every front. You know why? It's because it's a comedy sketch. It's a parody of a movie that literally looked at an alternative reality. But this man is a snowflake, sad baby. Can't take a joke. No. Everything. Oh, I gotta investigate this place. I gotta investigate. It's so unfair. One-sided coverage, Dem commercials. That's sad. Now, look, if you if you didn't think that's bad enough, right? So, yes, Trump's reaction is ridiculous. But if he were to actually take action on this, it actually would not turn out well for him on another front. A lot of states apparently have something called anti-SLAPP laws. Now, these laws would sanction plaintiffs who try and use defamation cases to basically bully people that they don't like. Sound familiar? Now, when a lawsuit is deemed a strategic lawsuit against public participation, or SLAPP, one intended to intimidate or silence critics by bringing on the massive burden of costly litigation, the plaintiff in this hypothetical situation with Trump, or it would be Trump, gets sanctioned. So it's not NBC that would get in trouble if Donald Trump pressed this. No, it would be Donald Trump. He would get literally slapped down. Boy, I love that. But wait, it gets better, right? Now, Trump, he should already know this. And to show you how much of an idiot he actually is, he used anti-SLAPP laws successfully against Stormy Daniels. Yes, this recent lawsuit where he won against Stormy Daniels, it was a countersuit, right? Stormy Daniels, of course, said, oh, hey, Donald Trump, he defamed me in a tweet that caused me harm. They took it to court in Texas. Trump actually won using Texas's anti-SLAPP statutes. Now, Stormy Daniels, she ended up having to pay for Trump's legal fees. So he literally just used this and won. And now he's like on the other side of it saying, I'm such a victim. NBC, I'm going to come after you for defamation. Sad. Man. And now Trump also, by the way, had won that lawsuit because it was deemed as frivolous, right? Now, that's Texas. Now, New York also has an anti-SLAPP statute. Now, it's not as strong as Texas's, okay? But it is very likely, according to law and crime, that if he brought this to court, he would end up losing because of how ridiculous this is. And so the Trump organization itself would end up having to pay costs and fees for the other side, for taking the other side to court. Now, he should know this, but he doesn't. He doesn't. He is too dumb to know. My God, he's an idiot. So, of course, I say, no, go ahead. Bring on a court challenge. Do it. Just do it. See where it gets you. I can almost guarantee that this will not turn out well for him. Sad. Okay. Moving on. Sorry about that.
Do you think it's time for Democrats to push this?
Look, Democrats are for universal access.
Oops. I did not mean to do that, so I'm going to have to reset that video. Let's just not push random buttons here, guys. Okay. Moving on. All right. Now, over the weekend, embattled Secretary of Interior head Ryan Zinke announced his resignation at the end of the year. So, can we say it? Down goes Zinke. Down goes Zinke. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. While this is no doubt a little bit of a win when it comes to massive corruption, as that is what Zinke is known for, unfortunately, it means very little for the environment, and as well as targeting the actual corruption that is normalized in Washington. Now, according to the New York Times, Deputy Secretary David Bernhardt will be taking over for Zinke for the time being. That is until, of course, Congress can approve someone else, which means Donald Trump has to pick someone who is likely also going to be terrible. Now, the thing about Bernhardt is, again, we're not going to see much change because he's a former oil lobbyist who has helped enact President Trump's agenda of rolling back regulations and opening up public lands to both drilling and mining. Now, they also note that while Zinke was the public face of this, the man behind the curtain, the one who was actually pushing the policies, was Bernhardt. So now we found out who's actually been pushing this the entire time, all of these rollbacks. And now he's going to be in charge, at least for the time being. Great. Now, these policies, of course, have been disastrous for the environment so far. For example, he oversaw a controversial revision of a program to protect tens of millions of acres of habitat for something called the sage grouse. Now, why would they want to roll that back? Well, it turns out the sage grouse roams over 10 oil-rich western states. Oh, so we're just, and by the way, that is an endangered species now. So, goodbye sage grouse, because, hey man, we got money to make. We gotta drill that oil, drill, baby, drill. And that's Bernhardt. Now, Mr. Bernhardt's proposal, continues the Times, to change that plan would strip away protections from about 9 million acres of the sage grouse habitat, which would open up more land to oil and gas drilling than any other single policy action by the Trump administration. This means a massive payday for the fossil fuel industry. The sage grouse, who cares about the sage grouse? We don't have any money. There's money in them damn ground. I was going to say them dar hills, but you know what I'm saying. Now, the thing is that this guy, Bernhardt, was an oil lobbyist. So now him taking this position, it sets up a conflict of interest. Now, of course, in the article, they mention how, well, since this guy is a Washington insider, he actually won't be drawing as much attention as Zinke because he's not as openly corrupt. That's some bullshit. Now, you're telling me, because he's not as corrupt as Ryan Zinke, that he's going to be left alone, even though he's doing these disastrous policies. They're not going to really pay much attention to him. And by they, I mean, of course, establishment media. Now, left-wing groups, environmental groups, of course, are deeply, deeply upset because look at what he's doing to the environment. Look at what he's doing in the name of corporate profits. But that's the difference, right? He is basically establishment corrupt, which means, he's okay, I guess. He'll be fine. But the thing is, conflict of interest. Look, the thing is, he has a massive conflict of interest because what he does, indirectly, affects his former clients. They benefit greatly from his policies. Now, under Zinke, for example, and in reality, of course, Bernhardt, the agency has opened up the East Coast to offshore oil and gas drilling for the first time. Who does that benefit? Oil and gas companies. He's also loosened the standards of the Endangered Species Act, again, allowing these companies to drill and mine and frack in these places where there are endangered species. Who cares about the endangered species? You know what's not endangered? You know what I don't want endangered? My corporate profits, my bottom line. So let's go, let's go. Let's drill, baby, drill. Not only that, he's weakened safety regulations for offshore drilling equipment and reduced the boundaries of national monuments to open up the land to mining and drilling. And of course, that ends up helping his former clients from back when he was a lobbyist. In fact, we have some examples. Back in November of 2017, the Interior Department's Bureau of Land Management granted a permit to Eni, that is an Italian oil company and a former client of Mr. Bernhardt's, to drill in federal Arctic waters. The permit, the first granted to a company since 2015, came just months after Mr. Bernhardt was confirmed to his job. The agency has given out many similar drilling permits since then. There's more. Mr. Bernhardt's plan to weaken the protection of the sage grouse also translate into a victory for his former oil industry clients, who have long sought such a change. In particular, his former client, the Independent Petroleum Association of America, has pressed for years to reduce federal protection measures on the habitat of the sage grouse, much of which is believed to contain rich deposits of fossil fuels. And in March, after he did that, Guess what happened? The Independent Petroleum Association, as well as another group of oil companies, wrote to Mr. Bernhardt to thank him for his work on actions that, quote, rescinded and revised mitigation policies that far exceed statutory authority. These companies also listed policies that they hoped Bernhardt would change, including the sage grouse plan. So, oh look, he deregulates and allows industry to drill and mine and frack everywhere, and they send him a thank you letter. You know what else they're going to send him? Probably a lot of money, or at least in the form of job offers, to be a lobbyist once he's left office. But of course, because, people will defend him, the administration defends him, of course, because, oh, no. That's not him helping his former clients. I mean, his former clients just happen to be helped by that policy, but he's not singling them out and giving them preferential treatment. Oh, okay, well, apparently that's not corruption. What a ridiculous joke. What is considered corruption versus not corruption is laughable. I mean, look, he is clearly helping his former clients so that when he gets out of office, he's going to get a job, he's going to get a nice paycheck. That is corruption. Now, Zinke was terrible because he was taking personal trips. He was using government money for personal things. And of course, you're not supposed to do that. That's Zinke's corruption. It is far more personal corruption. But the kind of corruption that Mr. Bernhardt was involved in and will be involved in is systemic corruption. If you think that removing Zinke was the end of the swamp, oh, no. You're mistaken. They took the swamp water out and they replaced it with a less scummy version of swamp water. Which is, guess what? Still swamp water. Congratulations. This is what good corruption is. This is what normal corruption is. Ridiculous. All right. So we're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back. We got more stories, including raging at Democrats. You're going to enjoy that. Scott Walker and more. So please leave me your super chats. I will read them when I come back from the break. And we'll be right back. Run the nation. Everybody, welcome back to the show. Around the Nation, right here, Jeff Waldorf with you. Okay, don't have any super chats to read, it doesn't look like. So if you could do that, that goes to help out the show, keep us going and growing. All right, so let's head on to the next story. Let's talk about what's going on in Wisconsin. Very important stuff. All right. Now, Scott Walker is the former governor of Wisconsin. I say former because he was handily defeated by his opponent, his Democratic opponent, Tony Evers. Now, while that's good, unfortunately, you are not likely to see a difference in policy, because Walker just signed a group of bills to make sure that Wisconsin voters will never be free of his legacy. Now, I mean that literally, because those bills just made sure that Tony Evers, as well as his Attorney General, Josh Kaul, will literally not be able to undo almost anything the Republicans have already put into place. Now, under these bills, the governor will no longer have the ability to withdraw from certain legal actions. For example, the lawsuit against the Affordable Care Act, without facing a potential veto from the state legislature. The governor will also be stripped of his ability to get rid of the state's Medicaid work requirement and will no longer have full power to appoint members of a state economic board. In other areas, the legislature will have to sign off on his changes to certain programs, as well as certain settlements by the Attorney General. So what this is that this is a Republican power grab. As soon as they get kicked out of power, the Republicans say, oh, no, we need to curtail the power of the government, so they can't actually do anything. They can't undo all the stuff that we've already given to the donors. See, we promised them things, and guess what? We're going to keep doing them. Whether or not we have democracy or not, don't care. We're going to let Republicans, our party, do whatever we want, and the Democrats are powerless to stop us. Now, there's more. The laws also eliminate the State Department of Justice's Solicitor General's office, which outgoing Attorney General Brad Schimmel used to file partisan lawsuits challenging Democratic laws. The elimination of the office will limit the means Kaul has to challenge Republican-authored laws. So we can challenge your laws all day, but when it comes to you challenging ours, nope, can't do it. You're stuck with it forever. Or at least until the Democrats get a majority in Wisconsin. Now, separately, the other laws in the lame duck package will also restrict early in-person voting to 2 weeks just before an election, when previously voting could take place as early as almost 7 weeks in some cities. So, early voting, nope, we don't care. You like early voting? No, that helps Democrats. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it now. How dare you have an advantage, in getting out to the polls? Being able to actually, because we don't have a voting holiday, by the way. We don't have a voting holiday. And voting, it's abhorrent that we have a system where voting takes place on a workday. We have voting that takes place on a workday. We have polling stations that are constantly shut down. We have computers that have all sorts of problems. Our voting infrastructure is a wreck, and it's on purpose. It's not an accident. When Republicans run it, they make sure that less people vote, because when more people vote, they happen to lose. Look, this midterm, there really was a blue wave. You know why? It's because we had record turnout, and in the House, over 40 Republicans lost their seats. That is amazing. And that shows you why the Republicans are so scared of allowing people to vote. So them shutting down early voting might actually be one of the most egregious parts of this legislation. But don't get me wrong, it is all bad. It is all nothing more than a power grab for the Republicans. And of course, after signing, Tony Evers came out with this statement. He said, "Today, Governor Walker chose to ignore and override the will of the people in Wisconsin. This will no doubt be his legacy. By signing the lame duck bills, Walker sealed his fate. The outgoing governor will be remembered only for the harm he has done, and that is the most tragic legacy imaginable for a failed politician. Oh, damn. Yeah, but on the other hand, Evers, he's going to make a lot of money in the private sector. Because, look, while in office, Scott Walker did everything for private interests. He did everything the corporations wanted him to do. You think he gives a damn about how the people remember him? No. People are down here. The donors are up here. That's where he ranks, right? He's like, oh, no, donors, I do whatever you want. People, I don't care about you guys. He just showed you how he doesn't care about you and doesn't care what you want. He's like, no. I decide who gets power. Oh, you voted for somebody else? Sad day for you. I'm going to undo everything that I can and sabotage the incoming Democratic governor that you voted for. Democracy? I don't care about democracy. He doesn't care about it at all. No, the only thing that Scott Walker is worried about, that he cares about, is how well the corporations are going to reward him. And just like all the other corporate shills, he will be rewarded very richly for what he did against the working class. Call it what it is. Pathetic power grab. This should mean, this is why no one should ever vote for Republicans. Because, like, if you vote for Republicans, like, hey, man, they say they're going to do things differently. They say they're going to, help out with jobs, etc. Well, for one, they lie to you. Look, man, you'd have to be not paying attention at all to what's going on, to what Republicans have been doing, to think that way. But, there are people out there, okay. And I understand that people are very, very busy. They have 2 to 3 jobs to survive. But Republicans are not going to help with that. Republicans are only in it for their own power, more so than Democrats. I mean, again, Democrats, I've had this conversation a million times. Yes, Democrats do work for private interests. A lot of Democrats that are wholly owned by corporations, of course. But they have never tried to grab power in such a brazen manner. You can't point to an instance of a Democratic governor doing this to a Republican. No, that doesn't happen. What we're dealing with here are Republicans suppressing democracy to an extent that we have never seen. And it's not just Wisconsin, they're also doing it in Michigan. They don't care about the will of the voters. They don't care about democracy. They are absolute fascists. I think I'm fairly clear about that. Okay. Hey, so I went after the Republicans, now I'm going to go after Democrats. Fair is fair, man. All right. All right. Sorry. Just thought of something inappropriate there. Okay. Just trying to think of something to kind of give this, get this intro well. All right. So Medicare for All is actually pretty popular. It's got over 70% approval rating among American citizens and 85% among Democrats. So it is fairly popular. So is that a priority for the incoming Democrats? Again, during the blue wave, during the midterm, Democratic voters, they turned out in order to get more Democrats elected, especially in the House, which would make Nancy Pelosi House Majority Leader. Now, she was, of course, backed by a lot of Democrats, so she will also become the new Speaker of the House. So, now that she's going to have the Speaker's gavel, is she going to back Medicare for All, which, as I said before, is incredibly popular? Well, I'm going to read you a statement here, and we're going to see what happens. Now, Pelosi had said on this, quote, I don't think, on Medicare for All, I don't think it's a litmus test. What we want to do is to have as many people as possible, everybody covered, and I think that's something that we all embrace. So I don't think it's a litmus test. Well, now wait a minute here. So what you want from healthcare is to have as many people covered as possible. Everybody, right? And okay, well, that is the definition of Medicare for all. That is literally what it does. That's why they call it Medicare for all, not Medicare for some, because right now we already have Medicare for some. Now, in Congress, in the Senate, Bernie Sanders has introduced a bill that would give Medicare for everyone and also expand it. Well, now that's a fantastic piece of legislation, right? And in the House, there's H.R. 676. Now, that was, of course, introduced every Congress by John Conyers. Now, John Conyers, of course, has been replaced by somebody who also believes in Medicare for all. So that's great. She's going to continue to embrace that as well. So, but okay, litmus test, right? Yes, I do believe this should be a litmus test. However, Pelosi disagrees. Well, now, what does she believe that she should do? She said, quote, "Right now, I'm protecting the Affordable Care Act. None of these things, whether it's Bernie's or others, can really prevail unless we protect the Affordable Care Act." Now, look, yeah, I guess we should protect the Affordable Care Act. But literally, you're saying right now that, hey, man, as long as the Republicans are attacking the ACA, well, we can't push forward on Medicare for all. Well, now, wait a minute. Now, people who favor Medicare for all, you have Bernie Sanders, you have these progressive groups. They're saying, hey, look, we're going to push for Medicare for all. But while we're doing that, simultaneously, we will be protecting what little gains we have made under the ACA because they are important as well. Here's Pelosi saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to protect the ACA. We are just going to protect the status quo. And because, you know, as long as the Republicans are attacking it, I can't do anything else. I can't do anything else. So now what she's admitting is that we're never going to do anything better. Because you think the Republicans are going to stop attacking the ACA? You think they're suddenly going to turn around and say, oh, no. You know, it turns out Republican, or the Heritage Foundation plan called Obamacare is now great. We will stop attacking it now, so long as you don't go for Medicare for all. That's ridiculous. What world would that happen? No, that will never happen. So Pelosi has admitted, basically, I'm never going to fight for Medicare for all. Ever, ever, ever. Well, thanks a lot, Pelosi. Thanks a lot for giving up before the fight even begins. Great. Oh, and just going to cede the fight to Republicans on Medicare for all. You know, Republicans, 52% of Republicans actually support single payer. Oh, no. No, I'm not going to fight for it at all. What a master legislator. Master legislature. I know, right? Look, she's not in favor of Medicare for all. She's not in favor of it because she's paid by health insurance companies. Health insurance corporations are among her top donors. On top of that, she's already worth $30 million. So, of course, she'll never understand why people need Medicare for all. Why the ACA is, yes, a step in the right direction, but is not working. We need to abandon that for-profit model and get into something that actually does cover everybody and does it for cheaper. But she's never going to get it, ever going to get it. And, of course, she thinks she's progressive. She says, quote, "Fortunately, I'm a progressive from San Francisco. I'm a liberal, and I have my own credibility on these subjects. While we all share our values and priorities and the rest, I think Chuck and I are both strong Democrats." Strong on what? You won't support single payer. You'll work with Donald Trump on certain things. You don't support getting money out of politics. You don't support tuition-free education. Do you support a $15 minimum wage across the country? Do you support a living wage? No, you're not strong. Just what are you progressive on? No. Pelosi and Chuck, no, you hate progressives. Now, to that, of course, she says, oh, you can never satisfy everybody. We don't have a responsibility to get nothing done. Well, now, wait a minute. First of all, you do have a responsibility to represent the American people. Again, poll after poll shows a rising desire for a single-payer healthcare system. 70% of the American people want it. Over 85% of Democrats. Now, wait a minute. Democrats are your constituency. Are you a Democrat or you're not a Democrat? Are you a strong Democrat? Well, if you were a strong Democrat, then you would support strong progressive policy. But you're not doing that, are you, Nancy? No, you're not doing that. Why? Oh, it's not pragmatic. It's not practical. And we need to protect the ACA for... That's their newest excuse. Because of all the studies over and over coming out about how better Medicare for all, a single-payer system actually would be, how much cheaper it would be, and how much better the outcomes would be, and how it would actually cover everybody. And yet Pelosi and Schumer are like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. She's not representing the will of the American people. She is representing the donors. And of course, there's more. That's Nancy. Let's go to Chuck, right? Now, Chuck Schumer went on MSNBC, Chuck Todd's show, and he said this about fighting for Medicare for all. Let's take a look.
Do you think it's time for Democrats to push this?
Look, Democrats are for universal access to health care from one end of the party to the other. We want more people covered, everyone covered. We want better health care at a lower cost. People have different views as to how to get there. Many are for Medicare for all. Some are for Medicare buy-in. Some are Medicare over 55. Some are Medicaid buy-in. Some are public option. We're going to have to do a lot more on health care. It will be a major issue in 2020. And I believe Democrats will coalesce around the best way to get the best health care for the most people.
Where are you? Do you think you should spend more time fixing the Affordable Care Act or launching a new health care proposal?
Well,
No. They're only going to support the status quo. And when it comes to something that a majority of the American people want, they're not going to fight for it. Chuck and Nancy, you are useless. You are useless, feckless Democrats. Oh, hey, man, people have different views. No, the only people that have different views are you versus the American people, or you should say you and the donors versus the American people. And you know what? I got news for you, Chuck. Medicare is better and at a cheaper cost. And you know what? You know what frustrates me the most? He said it, and I about wanted to punch the screen. Oh, Democrats are for universal access to health care from one end of the party to the other. That is him saying we're not in favor of Medicare for all. Because Medicare for all doesn't give you access. It guarantees health care to every single American. Chuck, what is that what you want? No. He wants access, which basically says status quo, we are staying for the same exact thing. No progress. No progress, status quo. Jesus, man. And again, Medicare for all. You want to talk about how much it costs, right? It actually costs, according to a Koch-funded study, it costs $2 trillion over 10 years, less than our current system does. Right now, the ACA that you want to save so badly from Republican attack, this is cheaper and it gives more people health care. Imagine if you adopted that policy, you would literally not stop winning. Because people would line up and go, oh my God, I love this system. I actually love having health care. I hate having to pay deductibles. I hate having to pay copays. I hate having to deal with a goddamn insurance company who will find any sort of reason to try to deny me care. I hate that. I hate that system. I like Medicare. I want to stay with it. Imagine how much you'd be winning. But of course, Chuck, Nancy, you won't be winning with the donors. Oh no, of course, because they will stop giving you fat campaign checks. That is the only reason that you will not back Medicare for all. And look, that's not just a Koch-funded study. There are numerous studies that say we could save even more money. Even more money. And look, it's not like Medicare for all, single payer, hasn't been tried. Every other modern industrialized country already does what we're talking about. Oh, but we have to see if it's feasible. We have to see if we can actually do it. We can do it. Everybody else does it. And we can just look at them. We can look at the results. And the results are clear. It saves money and it gives you superior health care. It works. And everybody knows it works except for you guys. Isn't it funny how these millionaires sitting up in Congress, people worth $30 million, just can't seem to see how it works? Weird. My thing is, it's very likely, no, it is 100% certain they get paid not to see that it works. So no, I don't agree with Nancy. This should be a litmus test. You know why? Because this is a slam dunk. This is a layup. If you can't support something that over 3/4 of the American people support, well, then it just shows everyone who you work for. And it ain't us. God damn it. All right. One more story here. It's a doozy. Think I'm enraged now. All right. A Long Island woman is considering legal action against her boss after having donated a kidney to save said boss's life. This is a wild story. Now, in papers filed Friday with the State Human Rights Commission, 47-year-old Debbie Stevens is alleging that she was set up by her boss, Jackie Bruscia, to become a kidney donor, and that once she had received the kidney from Stevens, she was fired. Again, this is a wild story. Now, her boss, of course, works at the billion-dollar Atlantic Automotive Group. So they own a lot of car dealerships, right? So now, Stevens, in her filings, claims that she first got to know Bruscia, one of West Islip's company's controllers, while working as a clerical worker for the firm starting in January of 2009. Now, Stevens left the company back in 2010 to move to Florida, but then, when had returned to Long Island for a visit, stopped by the office and talked with Bruscia. Now, that discussion, I guess, included health problems and her need for a kidney transplant. Now, so look, she was obviously ailing. She had issues with her kidney. She's like, oh man, it'd be really nice if somebody would donate a kidney. Now, Stevens told the Post that Bruscia told her she'd located a possible donor who was a family friend. But because she was a naturally kind and generous person, Stevens told Bruscia that if necessary, she would be willing to donate a kidney. Now, look, I know somebody who donated a kidney. Is a personal friend of mine, Jordan French. Donated to Anna Kasparian's mother. Didn't know her before, but donated anyway. That's wonderful. A kidney is a wonderful gift, right? So it's not out of my mind to think that, hey, man, look, she's my boss. I like her. She gave me a job once, and then, you know, yeah, of course she's ailing. I don't want her to die. So, yes, I'm going to donate a kidney. It's not like I don't have two of them, right? I got two of them. Here's one. Okay. So now, Bruscia told her, look, I've already got somebody lined up, but you never know. I might have to take you up on that. Okay. All right. Now, later on, according to the documents, Stevens had decided to move back to Long Island for a job and asked Bruscia if she could return to work. Bruscia said, yeah, come back, go ahead and work with us. Here's your job back. You can come back in a couple of weeks. Great, wonderful. So already, you know, it seems like there's good vibes on both sides. You know, hey, you got your job back and then possible kidney donor, but not necessarily, right? Now, 2 months later, in January 2011, Stevens told the Post that Bruscia called me into her office and said, my donor was denied. Were you serious when you said that? She responded, yeah. And then said that she was my boss. I respected her. It's just who I am. I didn't want her to die. Okay. Now, according to the papers, after the fact, Bruscia, Stevens had apparently said that Bruscia was apparently grooming her to be her backup plan. Fascinating. Now, Stevens was not an exact match for that kidney. However, she was pretty close. So the doctors had allowed Stevens to donate her left kidney to someone else in the transplant group so that Brusha could move up the waiting list and get her kidney from someone else. So, okay, so it didn't necessarily go to her, but it went to someone else. Now, Stevens says, oh, well, I don't regret that. In fact, I think it's great it went to a man in Missouri. And I wouldn't take that back for anything. And I'm glad I was able to help. But what happened later on got disastrous. Now, first she said, I felt like I was giving her life back. My kidney ended up going to St. Louis, Missouri, and hers came from San Francisco. Now, great. Okay, if the story ended there, wonderful, because two people got kidneys that they needed. One was a donor, and she felt really good about doing it. Now, what she didn't know, however, is that there was some complications after giving a kidney. Apparently, following the surgery, she started having some discomfort in her legs and having digestive problems. So she was in a lot of pain. She wasn't feeling very well. Despite that, she felt pressure to come back to work. So now, look, her boss was still recovering at home, but she went back to work a little early, and because, again, she felt like she was pressured to do so. Now, she tried going back. She ended up taking a couple of sick days after her return because she wasn't ready to come back. Okay. Now, that's when the problems really started. Now, Brusha, she claims, had called her while she was resting at home to now berate her for missing work. She said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you at work?" I told her I didn't feel good, Stevens told the Post. She said, "You just can't come and go as you please. People are going to think you're getting special treatment. I mean, you did just donate a kidney, after all. I mean, and you're not feeling... No special treatment. Get back to work. Get back to work, slave." Stevens set her office in overtime. And it got worse, right? Now, before I get to that, the overtime, I have to note that after Brusha returned to work, she allegedly would yell at Stevens in front of coworkers over mistakes. Now, Stevens said her office in overtime had been eventually taken away, and that she was demoted to a dealership 50 miles from home in a high-crime neighborhood that coworkers jokingly called Siberia. Do something nice for me, and I'm going to move you to Siberia. I mean, I don't need you anymore. If you're to believe how the story is going, she's saying, I don't need you anymore. Why should I be nice to you? Now, notice how nice they were afterwards. Oh, I'm going to give you your job back since you just moved back here, and, you know, we're going to have a good working relationship, etc. And then after she gets what she wants, she allegedly starts yelling at her and moving her to a different place, to Siberia, and causing her all sorts of mental anguish. Now, as a result of that, she consulted a psychiatrist, and then together with her lawyers wrote a letter to the company, after which Stevens was fired. So, hey, you do something nice, you get canned. Wow. Now, Brusha did not return phone calls from the Post, but was spotted outside her home, getting into a limo with plastic cups and what appeared to be a bottle of pink champagne. Her husband said, "Oh no, these claims are far from the truth." However, declined to explain how, and then claimed, "Well, she didn't fire anybody." Well, then what happened? If you didn't fire her, then where did she go? Did she quit on her own and make up the story? I don't know. I don't think so. But man. Now, Stevens said, again, "I have no regrets that I donated kidney because it did save the life of a man in Missouri," but added, "I feel very betrayed. It's been a very hurtful and horrible experience for me. She just took this gift and put it on the ground and kicked it." Now, look, again, if this is true and it goes to court, we'll find out what's true. But from what it seems, it looks pretty disastrous for this boss. I mean, give somebody another shot at life. Give them a kidney and then get fired while recovering. That right there is peak horribleness. And it just makes me think, again, why I'm more apt to believe this person instead of the boss is, for one, the boss doesn't make a statement. And for two, I've read a lot of stories about how rich people tend to lack empathy. And so, is that something to believe? Absolutely. But again, we'll have to see where the facts come out on this. But if this is true, this is just a big example of greed, of some people's greed, and using other people in some of the worst of ways imaginable. And so, it's true. What a disgusting person. All right. So, that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation. I got a super chat here that I want to read from. Let's open that up here. Takayaki says, thank you to YT Nation for the hard work this year. Well, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that, and I wouldn't be here without you guys. I would love to hit 100,000 before the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen. We still need about 3,000 subs. So if we can make it happen, that'd be amazing. Also, we're always looking for more patrons to help fund the show as well. We need those, and of course, you can help out. Do that, patreon.com/TYTNation. Also, consider, well, not consider, use the super chat like Takayaki does. Thank you so much for that. And also like and share the videos as well as all the streams that we do. And we stream every day from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern right here at TYT Nation. I know I'm running a little late, so I'm gonna sign off now, so you guys can head over to TYT, which is coming up next. So thank you guys, love you, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, Nation. We'll see you guys tomorrow.